right in. So,
All right.
here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Zyori Plus One, the Real Talk podcast, where we chat about esports and catch up and do whatever else. Yet another one of these where one of my good friends that I talk to once every other year or so, I guess at this rate, Seth. Last time we talked, I think, was when I was in Korea, which was January of, was it 2019? It was like a year
Yes.
and almost 2 full years ago. So there you go.
Yeah.
So Overwatch caster extraordinaire. We went to the same university, so we share some common blood in Southern New Jersey, and I guess we've gone different ways since then. So how are you, buddy? Thanks for making some time for me. You're in Korea right now,
Yeah.
so it's nice and early for you and kind of late for me.
Yeah. It's 11 a.m. for me, which I think to most people is probably not considered early, but for me, it's definitely early. But it's definitely good to have a reason to drag myself out of bed, this early in the morning, so I don't sleep until the late afternoon or something like that, and just continue having like the most. Am I allowed to curse on this show?
Dude, whatever you want. Absolutely.
The most fucked up sleep schedule. Just wanted to double check before I threw that out there. Don't you have to go through and edit in some sensor noises or anything. But yeah, man. It's always good to catch up. It has been a while since you were out here, but it was good to see you, and I would say like come back, but I know how close to impossible that is right now. But maybe once we get through this old COVID thing that can happen again.
Right. So, well, set me straight because you weren't in like Korea this whole time. You were covering Overwatch League in America, right? Like, where were you when COVID started?
Japan.
Japan. Okay. So, when was the last time you were in the States?
Oh, what had kind of happened was everything there was like a million things that happened simultaneously. So COVID was like known and was a thing, but it hadn't really gone international yet. It was still contained to China. And around that time I had my visa resetting. So in order to reset your visa status, you have to leave Korea and then re-enter. So I popped over to Japan for like 2 days. People were already starting to wear face masks and whatnot, and like the hotel had it mandated that you do that. And this was super early on, so you can see just how far behind America is and all this kind of stuff. But so I popped over there for 2 days, flew back into Korea, and then pretty much immediately was told like by Blizzard, like, hey, we need you to come to America immediately because we have to cancel everything in Asia because of this COVID situation and how rapidly it's growing in China. Like this whole year, I was basically supposed to spend it flying back and forth from Seoul to Guangzhou to Hangzhou to Shanghai to Chengdu, like just making a circuit constantly of these Chinese cities as they were going to be hosting events for the Overwatch League, and obviously all major events of like any size got canceled.
Uh-huh.
So we had to shut down, and then I had to go to America where some of the events were still happening. So I went over to NA. Ooh, I forget exactly when in February, but I had to go over there, and then I was basically trapped in North America from February until June-ish. Right around the end of June, I think is when or the beginning of June is when I was able to come back to Korea.
I like how you say trapped. And
I mean, I quite literally was. It was, I mean, both because of COVID, and then like us trying to figure out, because I needed to get issued a new Korean visa and whatnot, and we were still
yeah,
doing the paperwork for all of that stuff,
right.
and trying to figure out like when I would be able to travel and what the setup was going to look like for me once I got to Korea, like how I was going to be working from Seoul and whatnot. So there was a lot of planning that had to be done, and it was just like agonizingly long because of all of the different variables. So I just ended up being stuck there with, very little to do
I
because everything
feel
was
you.
getting shut down in NA.
Well, so I also got stuck with an unlucky situation where our passports in America have like a 10-year expiration or whatever, and mine
Yeah.
expires coming up in less than a year, and you're supposed to get it renewed when it has at least 6 months left. So I've been afraid to send it in because everything is closed or severely delayed. I read online that the passport backlog is like 900,000 passports or something that they haven't processed yet because all the centers are closed. And that's one of those things that like you can't work from home because it has to be like super secure and in the facilities and like done with all this
hmm
machinery that you can't have in your house, or else then you could just make all these counterfeit passports. So it kind of makes sense. But I just got confirmation today. I mailed it in and they said it got approved and that I should expect it back by like October 20th or something. But at the end of every
Oh,
message, there's a copy paste that says, expect this to take 4 to 6 weeks. And I keep scratching my head going,
mm.
wow, how is this so weirdly efficient? So I might have lucked out, but I feel you on, I guess, a sliver of some of that passport stress. I hate the mailing the passport, those moments where you actually don't have a passport, you cannot
Mm.
leave. It doesn't feel good. It is just like a pinch scary for whatever reason.
Yeah, I had to do that when I was in New Jersey. So, like, originally when I went back to the States, we were working out of Los Angeles. Then I traveled to, we did an event in Philadelphia.
Mm.
So I stayed a little bit longer on the East Coast, and then from there went down to the next event that I was working, which was Houston. That took me back to LA. And then we were, me and my co-caster Wolf, we were just basically sitting in hotels the entire time. And it hit a point where they started looking at getting us some long-term housing options in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I just said, look, you know what? Give Wolf an apartment. Um, I'm just going to go back to New Jersey and I'll just stay at my dad's place. Like he's got high speed internet out there. I can be as loud as I want for, doing commentary and whatnot. Even if it's 5 in the morning, I'll be able to yell because the houses are so spaced apart.
It's a
Um,
throwback.
you
Casting from
know,
South Jersey again.
I mean, I went back to where it all started.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I went over there and then stayed with my dad, made sure that he was aware of all of the different regulations and that kind of stuff when it came down to like going out and getting food and shopping and whatnot, and made sure that he was taking care of himself because he is, over 60. So he's in that demographic of somebody who would be super vulnerable
hmm
to COVID. So wanted
Yeah.
to make sure that he was all right. And I ended up just staying with him for a while, renting a car. And that's just where I was based out of, and I had to go. I had to mail my passport off and whatnot. And like you said, I very much hate that, just being without it, knowing
Yeah.
like if it gets lost in the mail or something, like I could be completely screwed. But fortunately,
That's
it
like
came back.
one of those few items where at any time if you ask me where is it, I can pretty much tell you where it is, or at least where it should be, or within a
Yeah.
degree of certainty where I think it might be. So I guess during this whole COVID thing, have you been doing a combination of casting both remotely from home, and then you've also done some stuff on like a studio set with other casters? Yes, or has it all been remote?
So the studio set, the only time I did studio set was actually before everything had gotten shut down
Oh,
in
okay.
America. I did because our desk originally, our analyst desk for the Overwatch League was based in like the like LA Center Studios or something like that. LACS, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
So we were based over there. So like for the first week of the season, I did a little bit of analyst desk stuff over there, and then they put me into the travel schedule. Did 2 live events, and then everything since then has been online fully.
Mm, okay. All right. That's a big adjustment, man. That sucks. I guess you guys should have been doing home stands with like live studio audience and the full shebang. I mean, that was a key part of the business model for the Overwatch League. That
Yeah.
how is that? I guess what's the like the vibe internally having to adjust such a black and white difference of what the model was supposed to be?
I mean, it sucked because everybody was going into this year. We were super excited. We got to see a couple of the home stands in NA, and they were really successful, at least from like a turnout standpoint, like the audience engagement that was there. Just the overall energy of being at one of those events was really, really awesome. And that's one of the things that I thrive on when I'm doing, my live play-by-play commentary. So to move fully online, um, I felt like throughout the majority of the season, I was certainly lacking something.
Mhm.
And it was having that audience there, cheering alongside, because I like to play off the audience a lot, and not having that, um, I personally feel like it was a bit costly to the overall quality of my commentary. But obviously it sucks. Like, Blizzard, like, I mean, no one's happy about COVID.
Yeah.
Um, so it sucked to see all of the pre-planning that had come in just kind of get washed away by this outbreak. But I mostly feel bad for like some of the Asia teams because those homestands were going to be fucking insane. Like going to China,
Yeah.
that stuff was going to be absolutely crazy. Um, and none of the Asian organizations got to have a homestand. Not even this whole dynasty. They were supposed to be, I think, the first one in Asia to host one, and all of this happened just so quickly that they had to cancel everything.
Hmm.
So, my heart goes out to all of the people like planning the logistics of these events and whatnot, and then having to call the venues and tell them like, look, we need to cancel because they were canceling before like everything got shut down. So, the venues might not have been as well aware of like the total situation and whatnot. It was just
Yeah.
a chaotic mess. So
Gotcha. But one of the unique things about Overwatch, at least from my perspective in the MOBA verse, is that North American teams have actually performed pretty darn well. In your top four, you guys had two NA teams, right? And the San
yeah.
Francisco Shock have just won season 3 of the Overwatch League, correct? Do I have my facts straight there?
Very true. Yes, this is
Yeah.
correct. Though the top four situation is that it was two representatives from the Asia region and then two from North America. So there are going to
Okay.
be two NA
Oh,
orgs in
all
there
right.
no
I
matter
missed
what.
that. I didn't realize that part. Fuck.
But it's
No.
okay. But it's okay. I mean, Philly was one of the most consistent, strong teams this year. They also have like a fairly diverse roster. They stopped using some of those players like for the most part by the end of the season, but like they still have like a very diverse roster, and then they just kind of shot the bed at the end of the
Wait,
season.
there's no slot
But
for Europe though. Are there not enough Europe teams? Am I
there
crazy?
are well, there's two European teams, and then they got folded basically into NA.
Wow.
It was basically East versus West.
Oh, okay. Why
But
is there
yeah,
not much more Overwatch Europe? I guess I didn't realize that. There's London Spitfire, and then what else? Is that it?
Paris Eternal.
Paris Eternal. There you go. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the league
Huh.
capped at 20 teams, and Paris is one of the last organizations to kind of like sign on when we went into the 2019 season. So there weren't any more slots available for any other prospective European teams to come in.
Seth, I feel
I
like a
think that
dummy. If we were on Esports Jeopardy and that
mm,
was a question and it was how many teams in Overwatch are European or how many slots are guaranteed for the finals for which regions, I would have looked like a complete asshole. I would have flunked that 100%. I didn't realize it was so much. It's very much Asia versus North America. The way the teams are spread, it's mostly NA teams, and it
and
is
that's
cool
just
to see the
because yeah,
fusion do so well. Being South Jersey folks, that's pretty neat.
yeah. Yeah, it was them kind of like harkening back to season one, except in season one they made it to the grand final. But they had a really good regular season at least. But so the reason why this happened was so that obviously the format very much got screwed after COVID because all of these teams were supposed to be playing against each other. That there was going to be a
Hmm.
couple weeks where some of the North American teams were going to do a circuit um, through Asia. They would come to a homestand in Korea, they'd go to a homestand in Guangzhou, maybe one in Shanghai, then they'd go back to NA, have a break, and then continue traveling around North America, and then vice versa for the Asia teams. When all of this happened, basically the league said, "Look, like we acknowledge that the majority of the players in the league are Korean. Um, the Chinese team couldn't get out of China. The Chengdu Hunters, they're fully Chinese roster. They could not get out of China.
Hmm.
Um, do any of the teams want to go back to Korea and then play in an APAC circuit, basically, just online? So we had New York went back to Korea because all of their players are Korean. London went back to Korea because all of their players are Korean.
Mm,
Most of the other rosters have Koreans on it, but are mixed rosters, other than the Florida Mayhem, which actually chose to stay in North America where they competed.
I see.
And they barely missed out on making it into that top four. They came very close. But yeah, so that's because we couldn't have the two separated sections of teams play against each other because of ping. It basically came down to, okay, you know what, we need to have two representatives. Oops, hit my microphone. Two representatives from APAC and then two representatives from North America. We'll fly the NA representatives over to Korea. They'll quarantine and then they'll compete.
Gotcha. Okay. So making the best out of the tough situation basically is the general breakdown there. I gotcha.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. How is it over on YouTube, buddy?
I mean, it's fine.
Do you miss Twitch chat? Is YouTube chat similar vibes? Does it hit you with the same feels? Do they have emotes? Give me the lay of the land, because I'm not a big. I actually don't watch that many streams in general, but when I do, it does generally take place on Twitch. So I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, the transition to YouTube hasn't been super noticeable because I just don't. I couldn't even tell you like the big differences between the chats, because even if I'm like watching the broadcast when I'm not on, I'm watching it full screen. I'm not looking at the chat pretty much at all.
You don't read chat? You don't get the instant feedback? You guys don't have a monitor with Twitch chat? Because I'm not going to lie, we have that at every Moonduck event. Anybody who's like, I'm not doing obs, they definitely have Twitch chat open, and they definitely tab out when they're not talking and read that shit and not listen to their co-commentator rather.
I mean, I'd lie if I said that I've never seen it, but like most of the times I'm not paying attention to it at all. I mean, it's neat. Like I found out because of, I guess, the YouTube chat thing that like Tay Zonde, like the Chocolate Rain guy, is a huge fan of the Overwatch League and like really loves the LA Valiant team. Yeah,
no way.
Like the most that I actually checked the chat is probably just to see if Tay Zonde is watching, because I'm like.
Is he still popping? Like, is he making music and shit? Is that?
Yeah, I think he's doing like some voiceover work and whatnot.
Right.
But I actually don't. I'm not too certain. But
yeah,
we had him on the analyst desk at one point.
Get the fuck out of here! No way.
Yeah, for an LA Valiant match, because they're just like, oh, like he's such a big fan. Like, let's get him on the analyst desk. So they did.
I guess that's the value of being in LA, dude. Like, hey, you want to just drive in? It's like, oh, it's like an hour in traffic. All right, yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I think this was. I think that he did do it online, but obviously we would have had him in person if that was possible. But yeah, but I mean, otherwise, I know that one of the features that would be super awesome to have again is like clips. Like getting Twitch clips is super easy. YouTube, there are some like, I think, like browser plugins that you can get for Chrome and Firefox and whatnot that will have the same functionality and then output to a streamable link. But I know that these are things that YouTube is working on, and I think that if they come out, it'll be a big quality of life improvement overall for esports viewing on the platform.
So do you feel like that, like almost like on a subreddit, just kind of social media sharing, the lack of easy clip functionality actually does it hurt a little bit? Like it's just, you see a little bit less spread of clips and stuff because it takes so much more effort to make it happen with a specific plugin. Is that the gist of it?
Yeah. Sort of? I mean, like looking at the subreddit, like competitive Overwatch, and comparing it to 2019 to now, like I'd say that the majority of like your new posts, the influx of those is people discussing the matches or like just typing out about a very specific point or about something very specific that was said, which is fine because that's driving conversation still. But it used to very much just be like, holy shit, look at this 4K play by Profit or by this person, whatever, and then people just go on there and be like, oh my god, holy shit, it was so amazing. So like you get less of that really quick, easy, satisfying content, I suppose.
Well, so how do you find the Overwatch audience? Because you used to cast League of Legends, right? You're no stranger to toxicity. You've played some solo matchmaking in a competitive game or two. So how do you find the Overwatch audience overall? Like, do you feel like they get you as a caster? Do they get your jokes? Do they get your bants? Do you feel like they have solid expectations of what the broadcast should be like?
I think for the most part, like, I mean, no matter what community you go to, there's always going to be a few bad apples and whatnot. But I think for the most part, like the Overwatch League community is pretty non-toxic. Like I'm sure there's a lot of people who would disagree with me, but this is just solely from like my experience
Yeah.
and then like experiences that I can see from others.
You get a
I
lot of nice
personally
DMs
don't
like,
think
"Keep it up, Seth. You're doing
I
great, Seth. I love
a,
you."
a stupid number of them, like whether it's on Twitter or on Instagram, which I barely even use my Instagram. My Instagram is only for like pictures of my fucking cat, and people will just reach out and be like, "Hey man, like really loved your commentary that match, like blah 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 blah," or like, "Hey, thank you for not putting down this player. Like I know he's been having like a rough time, but he's actually really good. And like a lot of other people say that he's shit, but you're talking him up. Like, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Like, just
Because I don't
stuff
get
like
that
that.
very
Like
much.
it, like comparing that to like the messages that I would get saying like "fuck you, you're a shitter." Like that used to be when I was casting the LCK in Korea. There used to be just specific people going into threads and sometimes creating threads about me being like, "Man, get this guy off the LCK. He's so shit. I never want to hear his voice again." Like, and then that I don't think that that's just like pretty much ever happened in Overwatch. Like
Huh.
maybe once when I first started and like casting Apex in Korea, and people were like,
Yeah.
like this guy needs some work. But even then, it's like, okay, I get it. Like I need to improve. It's feedback.
Well, and you've been working with Wolf for a while too, and I
Yeah.
am a big believer in that if you have a good duo like Tasteless and Artosis, iconic
Mm.
esports duo, they're both very good individually, but together that is greater than the sum of its parts, and I think that's the magic where you don't necessarily have to be the best caster in every category if you work with somebody really well and you just have this kind of flow. And it seems like you and Wolf have kind of have found that chemistry with each other over the years.
Yeah, I mean, we started working together. I actually like had like a one-off cast with him doing Heroes of the Storm because he was doing that for OGN back when I first got out to Korea. So I actually filled in for Artosis on that
Forgot about that.
broadcast. So I did, yeah, like a day of HOTS with Wolf. Um, but then like we would hang out a lot and go out to bars and whatnot and go see movies and stuff. But like we didn't really work together until I think it was the Apex season 2 promotion tournament, bringing in some teams into the second season of that event. So we did the whole promotion tournament, just he and I, which were some very very long days, and it was his first time like casting Overwatch. And I told him like, look, when you cast this for the first time, you're gonna think that you're shit at it. You're gonna think that this game was not for you. I was like, it's just like just give it a single map, play like one map of the series, and then go into map 2, and then you'll like suddenly like your third eye will open. You'll be like, oh shit, you know what? I know how to commentate this now, and then it'll be fine. That's exactly what happened, and we've just kind of been, you know, casting it together ever since then. Like we would rotate casters during Apex because we also had Papa Smithy, who's now the GM of 100 Thieves. We had Atlas, who is now one of the primary commentators for the LCK. But then, they went full on with League of Legends, and then we kind of went full on with Overwatch. So
I see. Do you miss League? Is there any
I miss the
regret there?
idea of it.
The idea. um,
No, I mean, I definitely miss I definitely miss like the LCK community. I think more specifically when we were on OGN, because we had like the OGN loyals that would always show up and whatnot. Um, but I still watch League of Legends. Obviously, I've been watching the World Championship since it's happening out here on my time zone.
yeah, that's nice,
Um,
right? That's
so I've been keeping up with it. It's not like I've completely abandoned that game and just deleted all memory of it.
So if you were
So
fired
there's
from Overwatch League, like you didn't renew your contract for season 4, would you go back to casting League of Legends? Would that be your backup plan, so to speak, if for some reason it went nuclear with you and OWL?
um yeah, probably. I mean, it's just as far as like long-standing esports titles that have
Well, and it's where
you
you
know,
are too, like
a good amount of
Korea
work. Yeah,
and League
a
of
good amount of work for
Legends.
it in Korea. So,
Like,
yeah,
come
I
on.
mean, I would definitely look to slide back in there to a certain degree, but uh, I mean, I'm intending to sign again for next year for the Overwatch League. So
Well, that's good. I
as long
assume
as I
so.
don't
I
get
hope
denied.
so. Yeah. Um, but still, always just curious, thinking about what else
Mhm.
is out there because there's two things down this road I want to ask you about. Both of them are pretty recent Riot announcements and inventions. Valorant
Mhm.
being the first one, I guess that has a little more crossover with Overwatch, right? Shoot
Sure.
'em up and use some skills, I guess. Have you played Valorant at all? Are you a fan? Could you ever see yourself casting Valorant? Because I'm not gonna lie, Seth, I thought I could see myself casting it. I was lying to myself. You see, I played it enough, and then I realized this is not. It feels like a worse Counter Strike. Every time I play it, I walk away feeling like I kind of just want to play CS:GO now, and I'm not even a big CS:GO guy. I'm like Silver 2 or whatever. I'm garbage, but
Mhm.
I don't know. So that was my experience. I wanted to like it. I went in because like Suns fan, I don't know if you follow Dota stuff at all, but he's one of the Moonduck guys that I work with Dota, and he was a Counter Strike guy, and now he's
Mhm.
really going hard into Valorant, and he's one of the only Dota guys really diving into Valorant, and the rest of us think that he's a little crazy. And yeah, I don't know. I'm curious what your take on the game is.
Um, yeah, so I played it during the closed beta when they're like everyone was like desperately just going from Twitch stream to Twitch stream trying to get a code or whatever. Um, I was fortunate enough to have access, so
Wow, look at you.
um I downloaded it. This was while I was in New
Whew.
Jersey, so I was playing on the North American servers with a bunch of the other Al commentators because we like to play different games together. We've been playing like a lot of Among Us. We'll play Overwatch together, and we're like, okay, we all got Valorant. Let's try Valorant. So we'd go in like B5 stacking that. Um, and I think that the game is overall fun. Um, the only issue for me is that I don't know, there's like a limitation to how much I feel like I can play Valorant in a row. Like I feel like if I play 3 games of Valorant in a row, I'm like, okay, you know what? It's time for me to step back a little bit. I want to play something else, or maybe I want to step away from the PC. Whereas like if I play CS:GO, I can play CS:GO all day long. As long as I'm not
Yeah.
tilting out of my mind because of things that happened in the previous games, like I could just keep playing CS over and over and over again. I agree. I think that CS:GO is overall more enjoyable, but that being said, I do have fun playing Valorant, but more specifically when I'm in a group of friends. I do not like queuing into Valorant and playing it by myself. Um, but I could say the same thing about
Yeah.
Overwatch. I like playing with a
Could say
stack
the
of
same thing
people,
about
or at least
Dota.
with like two others. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, the fan base, gets dragged over from League of Legends into Valorant a little bit, and then you also have people from CS:GO and whatnot. And
Yeah.
both games have historically had some pretty toxic communities at times. So
Yeah.
having them merge into one is just what an amalgamation of hatred. And
I
like,
yeah.
ugh.
I definitely don't hate Valorant. I think it's one of those games that I'll keep it installed, and if we were on the same continent and you PM me and said, "Hey, I'm about to play Valorant with a bunch of my friends. We're gonna play ranked. Do you want to play?" I would
Mhm,
be maybe interested to play sometimes and queue a few games and like don't really care about my rank, but it's fun to win. It's fun to shoot people in the head sometimes with an AK
mhm.
like weapon. That's a fun Saturday, if you ask me. Curious about your thoughts on Overwatch 2. Um, does it
I
sound
mean,
cool? Are you into? Do you think that? I guess maybe big picture is a campaign aspect something that you think will resonate with the Overwatch audience? Maybe that's a better direct question.
I think yes. Um, I think that because I think that like one of the things that people really love about Overwatch is when they put in the different story modes. The little events that have come out. Most of the time, they're really short. Like you right now, you have the Junkenstein's Revenge or whatever, like the Halloween event that's going on. Like
Hmm.
when those things first debuted, um, people really loved them and they started grinding them. It was a nice way to have a change of pace. This is also before like the workshop existed, so people didn't have another outlet of like different play styles. Now, like if you spend enough time, you can go into the workshop and build pretty much anything that you want. So you can make the game the way that you want it to be. But I think that people enjoy the story content quite a bit, and I think that having a narrative will resonate with a lot of people. Uh, there are some people who
Mm.
are complaining about Overwatch 2, saying like, "Oh, it's just it's just storyline. It doesn't change the other aspects of the game or whatever. Why should I pay for this?" And the fact of the matter is, you don't have to. If you don't want it, don't pay for it. Because even if you stick playing, if you stick to playing Overwatch 1, you're still going to get the engine overhaul, the graphic updates, all of
Mm.
the maps, the heroes, and whatnot. Like it's fully an opt in, um,
I see. So it's
which I
sort of
think
like
is
an
a really good
add-on.
way.
It's almost more like a DLC
Yeah,
type vibe, where it's like you don't have to have it to still play competitive Overwatch, but obviously it's a cool part of the game that you'd probably want to play if you're into Overwatch.
yeah. I mean, it's like
Okay.
an inverse. It's like an inverse, like map pack, like the map packs that you would get for like Battlefield or like Call of Duty and whatnot. But
Okay.
the map packs have a little bit more pressure. They put a little bit more pressure on you to purchase them, because it's like, well, if I want to play competitively, I should have access to all the maps. So I think I need to spend money on this, like yada yada yada. Whereas this is just like, oh, do you want to play by yourself or with friends doing story mode content? No, you don't want to do that. Okay, then just don't spend the money. If you want to do that, then spend the money and play with your friends and enjoy the content.
I see. Okay. That's definitely a fair way to slice it. And Blizzard definitely has a big audience of people that like story mode games. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think having an actual narrative to it, because every time like Blizzard, I mean, pretty much no matter what game it's for, whenever they put out a cinematic, people eat it up because their cinematics are just like bar none the best in
God,
the
I
fucking
know,
world.
dude. I almost hate how good they are. Because I did not like Diablo 3, and I am really hard on Path of Exile now. So I am really like
Mm.
the Diablo franchise. I feel like is something that I got a lot of love out of in my past, and I've moved on from it a little bit. And then I saw that cinematic for Diablo 4, and I was like, wow, they're really getting in touch with that dark gothic kind of vibe. Like, dude, this art
Hmm.
style looks kind of badass. And even if this game is not something I play long term, I might still buy this and put 40 hours into it and feel okay about it. And
Uh,
I hate that the cinematics make me feel that way, but it's a testament to how good they are. It really is true. But I got to see the gameplay and stuff. Anyway, that's a whole
yeah.
nother.
Everything I've seen about it, it looks fantastic. And obviously, I'm not seeing anything that you guys aren't able to see. I have no
Mhm.
access. I'm not an actual Blizzard employee. I'm contracted to them,
Right,
but
right.
that means that I am not able to see any of like the NDA stuff. So I have no additional information,
Yeah.
but everything that I've seen about Diablo 4 from like BlizzCon last year and whatnot just looks fucking incredible. And I agree. I think it's going back to the classic days of Diablo 2 with that dark style and blood and guts flying and whatnot when you hack through stuff
Yeah.
as a barbarian. So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that. Uh but yeah, like I think that everyone has always responded super well to the cinematics when they come out for Overwatch, because they just kind of give you like just little sprinkles of the storyline. There's the comic backstories and whatnot, and when those get posted, people
Mhm.
really like those, really resonate with them. So I think that just actually giving a full blown like voiceover with I'm assuming with cinematics mixed into the gameplay, much like they do for the rest of their titles, like plot, I think that people are going to devour that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of inclined to agree. I guess it just feels so separate from the esports stuff, which I guess maybe is by design. But you know, well, I guess we'll see. Maybe that's a good thing, having more stability for an esport, right? Because I
Mm,
know, like from a collegiate perspective, that's one of the big difficulties. Is you look at a 4-year degree, esports changes so much in 4 years that it's hard to build a program that is kind of future proof with the market. Um,
yeah,
so maybe there's something to be said for that. That's one advantage traditional sports has on us. The sports are just a lot more consistent. They've been pretty much the same with just little tweaks to the rules for a lot of years.
yeah.
Like Dota
Like,
just hit its 10-year anniversary, man.
fuck, man,
Big
it's been that
celebration
long.
party. There was a tweet from the informal community manager, Wickram. It was a
Mhm.
big deal. We all went, wow. Retweet party. Oh. Not even like a clip reel or like hey, here's all the TIs, or hey, shout out to that $120 million that the community just raised to fund this TI that's not happening. I don't know, man. What do you think about Dota from an outsider? I'm always curious about this. Like, I don't know how much do you follow the scene, and what is your general take? Like, real talk, hit me with it, dude. All right,
All right.
pretend the Dota subreddit doesn't exist, and just hit me with your real honest feeling. Is Dota a dead game?
No. I mean, from my outside perspective, no. How the fuck could I ever say that it's a dead game when you guys are consistently just building up some of the largest prize pools that esports has ever seen year in year out for the same event? You know, uh, I look at that and I say, like, seems like it's doing pretty well. Obviously, I don't have like the behind the scenes. I don't have like the intimate details of like what's going on tournament to tournament. Um, I know that Valve might not necessarily do a whole lot. But it seems like Dota is still, and I don't know how things have been this year, to be fair. I actually have no fucking clue how things have been this year for you guys. But like in the past at least, like I know that the Dota has very much been propped up by the different production companies that have existed, such as Moonduck or the
PGL,
Summit,
ESL,
PGL, etc.
BTS, yeah.
So like yeah, like I know that they have been the ones that really just keep the consistency in having esports events that are able to be watched for Dota 2. And then obviously Valve swoops down from the heavens at the end, descending all godlike, and says, "Welcome to TI. Here is the fucking fattest sack of money," and they throw it at somebody.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, it seems like as far as like the community is concerned and the player base, it seems like things are still pretty well engaged. Um, just generally, but I've never been a Dota guy since
Yeah.
since like Dota 1, playing that on Warcraft 3. Um, as you know, and I was like really young, and of course, like I wasn't very good at the game, and everybody was
Yeah.
toxic towards me. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play Winter Mall Wars instead. Fuck you, Dota.
Yeah.
And then like I tried to get back into it when Dota 2 came out, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just so shit at this game, but I'm pretty good at League of Legends. So I'll just keep playing League of Legends and be a lazy bastard rather than try to learn something that could potentially be better but is more difficult.
Well, and League was more
Like,
accessible. Like, I have vivid
oh, it was
memories
way
of
more
like
accessible.
PAX East 2012, 2013, 2014. We went with our group of friends every fucking year in a row towards like the tail end of us being in university. And
Yep.
there was always a giant Riot booth, and every year we would go to the Riot after party or the Riot cosplay party or whatever Riot was involved in, because it was the place to be. And we would meet Rioters, and I would talk to them about Dota, and you would talk to them about League of Legends, and we would network, and we would get all excited about getting free drinks with the Rioters. And like, there was zero Dota presence at any of those events ever.
Yeah.
So it's not just that like, hey, am I objectively looking at which game is like better or which gameplay do I like? It's also a function of which game's community do I feel like I'm a part of and have access to. And like, I remember you playing on stage against the pros one year at like PAX East 2013 or some shit. It was like a big giant booth, and they were doing fans could come up and play against a couple of the NA pros they'd flown in. It was pretty cool. A lot of swag, right? It makes people feel like they're fucking a part of something. And that's something I think Dota has failed on relative to its competitors in that regard.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely fair to say. I think, and obviously I'll very much trust your your judgment on that. Having been disconnected from the Dota side of things, like I just said, I was so engrossed in other communities that I never even was able to take the time to look and say like, oh, there's a lack of a community over there.
That's fair. Yeah,
But
it's
yeah, like League of Legends, it was just way more accessible, especially for like you said, you and I on the East Coast going up to PAX East and whatnot. Um, and yeah, I mean, like I think League is the last game that I was straight up like a fan of, because I guess because it was the first esport that I started working on. Um, but like as far as games that came out anywhere somewhat recently, like that's definitely like the biggest like fandom game that I have where it was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like those are the pros right there. Like, oh my god, like that's fucking Rivington and whatnot. And just kind of
Dude,
like nerding out over
I remember those
over
moments.
different people and whatnot. So that
Like
was definitely
seeing
the last time that I
Rivington,
had
then
those
like
experiences.
you and I like strategizing about how to talk to him. Like, oh, what do we say? Oh, I'm all nervous and shit, and you're the confident one, and I'm the nervous one. So
Oh yeah, because we had the press pass that year.
oh yeah, I hooked us up with press passes, ZyoriTV,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, because we got to go to the Riot booth before
Dude.
the floor had opened, and that's where we saw him.
Dude, you're right. Yeah, I forgot the press badges got early access. Oh, those were the days, dude. I don't know if we deserved those badges, but Jesus. Glad we look at that. We made use of them. PAX East, if anybody out there is ever listening to this, thank you. You were the stepping stone that helped both of us launch great careers in esports. Thank you, PAX East.
And thank you, Curse, for hosting parties where you didn't check wristbands for people who are under 21 and just kind of blindly serve them alcohol.
I guess
And
it's been enough years at this point. It's probably past whatever statutes exist.
I mean,
my
I'm 28. I was 20 at that time. I think it's good, right?
I'm 31. I was probably 21 or something at the time. I don't know. That's no, you're right. I mean, and the curse parties were weird because they were always so big and like mostly open bar.
And they were open bar.
And you'd think, how
for
much
like
money?
500 people or something.
What does Curse make? How did they make money, let alone pay for this party, get a return on it? There was always this weird like dick waving contest on Saturday nights at PAX East in Boston. Everybody wanted to have the biggest Saturday night party. And Curse did successfully achieve that multiple years in a row, if I'm not mistaken. But God damn, that must have been like such a ridiculous bar tab. Just absurd.
I think they learned from that first time that we went. Because I think the next year it was an open bar unless you were in the VIP area, which of course we were in the VIP area.
It wasn't expensive to get into the VIP area as it it turns out.
$20.
Oh man.
But then I forget if you went to the Infinite Crisis party.
Infinite Crisis. Now,
do you remember that?
Was that
Does anyone remember that game?
DC MOBA?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I vaguely I know it never had a lot of viewers. I know DC. Somebody that works at reasonably high up in DC really loves a MOBA game and wants to make it work in that universe because they also bought into Arena of Valor, the failed mobile MOBA that was like a competitor. It's like the English version of Honor Glory of Kings or whatever that Chinese game that's really successful is. But it's weird having like mostly League of Legends ripoff characters, and then Batman shows up, and then Superman comes in, and he's just flying around and lasering people. Like, it's really not cool. I'm sorry, DC, but it's just not the right medium. Stick to movies, stick to comic books, stick to podcasts. You know what you're good at. I hate to say stay in your lane, but that might be good advice in this situation.
I very unironically really enjoyed Infinite Crisis when it first came out in the beta.
What was good about it? What was the...
I think the reason why I liked it is because I was just fucking crushing everybody. And I was just like, holy crap, like I'm actually really good at this game. Like the only time I think during the entire beta...
I'm going MIT, guys.
The only time that I got like destroyed was when it was Complexity's League of Legends team at the time. I got matched up with them and played against them, and they destroyed us. But like, I don't know. Like, the game was like, it was very stupid. It was not well optimized. The graphics on it were kind of terrible, but I enjoyed playing it for the most part. But they had a party at PAX East, and I think that they were the last company when we were going to PAX, I think, to ever do an open bar party for everybody.
Okay.
And man, what a night that was.
Were you there at PAX the year that the Crystal Method played 2 nights in a row, a Saturday and a Sunday, or a Friday and a Saturday? And they were both, I think, Riot related, or like, I forget what happened. Somebody hired them. And then once they were in town, Riot or somebody else was like, oh shit, the Crystal Method's here. Well, we'll hire them for our party too. And I saw him 2 nights in a row with Greg. What is hip? The What I Ship
Right.
guy. You remember him?
Yeah, Greg Laird.
Yeah. The CEO of Chaos Esports Club.
Yeah. Damn, he's lost weight.
Getting hammered.
But
He's lost a lot of weight.
I did not recognize him the first time I saw him after he lost his weight. But yeah, I remember that. I forget what the original party was. I think it might have been a Twitch party. And then
Riot was one of them. I know that.
Yeah, I think Riot was the last night. So yeah, I think that Riot had picked him up for their party.
I forget who was the piggybacker though. Was Twitch the piggybacker or was Riot the piggybacker? One of them like hired them to come into town, then the other was like, "Oh shit, yeah, hell yeah." But seeing the same band 2 nights in a row play a pretty similar set is always a good time. I mean, that's a big memorable musical experience for me. Those those little Boston clubs in downtown are pretty good actually. They're perfect for a electronica show. I don't know what genre is the Crystal Method. Wubby.
Wubby. Well, those clubs aren't doing well right now, but that's beside the point.
Well, that's true. You know, this was back in the day, back when we were young, Seth, and you could just go to a party and talk to strangers and not worry about their germs being sprayed all over you, and you just dealt with it like a champion.
Well, I mean, that being said, there was always the worry about getting the the convention flu.
Oh yeah,
because there's so many.
We usually got it.
Unshowered nerds coughing into their hands and then going to like shake your hand or something like that.
Yeah, I couldn't really get into the public gaming rooms at PAX. They're like, let's go play the arcade games. I'm like, that is pink eye waiting to happen. And I'm sorry, but I can't. It's like I don't do water parks anymore, dude. I can't get over the germ block. There's not enough chlorine in the fucking world. Like, I don't want to swim and piss, dude. I'm out. I'm out. Sorry. If I gave you a bucket of water and said that's 5% piss, would you pour it on your head? I wouldn't. That's what a water park is. Sorry, I digress. That was
that's fair enough.
I'm drawing a line in the sand though. I'm out. So
I just choose not to think about it.
Well, that's fair. We did go off track onto Blizzard games. One of the other Riot things I wanted to ask you about, aside from Valorant, dude, Wild Rift. What's your take on mobile gaming and by extension, mobile esports? Because I'm not gonna lie, I have been eyeing up mobile esports for years now, and this might be my play. This might be my time.
So I know that they had like they were on like the Apple panel, right, or something like that for this.
The Apple panel? Oh
yeah, like
yes,
didn't Apple have like their event?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I saw it, and they were talking about a game coming up, and I was joking with my roommate because we were watching the Apple thing today where they revealed the iPhone 12. It's like, it's going to be Wild Rift. 100% it's Wild Rift. And then it was, and I kind of lost my biscuits.
Yeah, and then the Apple's also just like, yo, we got this new thing called 5G.
Yeah, it was a pretty lame announcement.
I've had my S20 for months now, almost a year, and that's had 5G on it the whole time. That's really weird, Apple.
Yeah,
but
not cool.
I'm not an Apple fanboy. I've actually never owned an Apple product that wasn't an iPod Classic.
I've got most of the suite, but that's where we differ, friend. But I respect you. You're a man of value, and I like that. You're also in Korea, so support Samsung, buddy. I'm with you. You gotta support the team.
Not my thing. Yeah, well, I'm going for the home team, Korean company.
So, but Apple aside, I was hyped about it before Apple. Just putting it out there. I'm not trying to be a front runner, but topical news.
I've been interested in this as well because, I mean, I think this is just going to play out kind of exactly how everybody expects it to play out, which is that it will be the best mobile MOBA on the market, and they'll do some events for it. But I mean, I don't know. I think I'd be surprised if there's like a huge amount of money injected into this. But I could be wrong. I don't know how much like the skins and whatnots are going to be for this game.
Are you familiar with Mobile Legends Bang Bang?
No.
Have you heard of it? Have you ever heard of Mobile Legends Bang Bang, MLBB? The mobile MOBA. It's like a League of Legends clone. It's a shitty version of what it's like if you and I had $50 million and we were like, all right, let's build League of Legends, but for mobile. Mm-hmm. That's what Wild Rift is. It's stupidly popular. Like
I mean, I
40%
know that.
of Southeast Asia plays it. The whole
Sure,
region.
I'm not. Oh, trust me, I'm not doubting I'm not doubting at all, like how much money this game is going to make. I'm just curious to see like what Riot um decides, like as far as like if, like are they going to host esports tournaments? Are there going to be more one-off events like TFT? Do they want to try to create like a mobile circuit or something like that, like Clash Royale has?
In
How
C,
much money do they
probably.
put back into this? Like,
In North
y
America, very
those are the things
little.
I'm curious about.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's going to be
I
very
don't expect
regional.
it to be. I think that this is probably going to go along a similar path as PUBG Mobile, but with a lot more polish and success. Um, where like there's tournaments in like Indonesia, Thailand, China, Southeast Asia and whatnot for PUBG Mobile, and it's an extremely popular game there. And there's some money on the line, and you can get some work doing those events, but
Okay.
almost like probably more existent than PUBG Mobile tournaments in the West, but still not frequently
I think
occurring.
PUBG Mobile is a good baseline. Wild Rift will be bigger and better in pretty much every regard.
Oh yes,
I
I'm not
think it'll
disagreeing with
be
you at all on that.
less of a cash grab, more of a polished game, more of an existing fan base it'll tap into, and just an easier circuit to create. So the parallel I'm thinking of here, remember when Tasteless and Artosis were like, StarCraft 2 is coming, Korea's going to be the biggest place, we're moving here to get ahead of the curve. Would I be crazy to move to Southeast Asia in preparation of Wild Rift and be the greatest Wild Rift caster this world has ever fucking seen in preparation of the collapse of Dota 2 in the next few years? Is this the play, Seth? Is this my moment to shine? You look really skeptical. Okay. That's the face that
It's
most
probably
of
not.
my Dota coworkers
I
make.
think you gotta give it some time and see how it develops a little bit first before you decide to
Okay.
make that move.
So you don't think the first mover advantage is going to be a big deal on this?
No, especially not in COVID times. Like,
Fair. Well, so this is part of my logic. Follow me here. All right. When Mobile Legends Bang Bang was popping off, they've done a World Finals. It was in Kuala Lumpur last time. Same venue that the KL Major for Dota in, I think, 2018 was in. Huge, giant, like soccer stadium kind of thing. Whatever. So I reached out to Moonton, the company that owns Mobile Legends Bang Bang, a Chinese company, and said, hey, I'm a Dota caster. I want to sell out for your game. Fly me to Asia, and I'll use my credibility as a successful Dota caster to make your esports sound cool and be a good commentator. And they said, we're interested if you can come to Asia, but we don't want to fly you internationally. They're like, we're not in the business of flying people international back and forth. So it's like they bought the pitch, but not enough to like fly me back and forth from America. But if I had a home base in Singapore or Seoul or KL or some other location relatively nearby, they would fly my ass to Jakarta and I could be the poster boy for Mobile Legends Bang Bang. Now, we didn't talk about price tag because there is a premium associated with said activities.
I was about to say, if they don't want to pay for an international flight, can they pay for you to live? Because I don't think they want to pay that money.
I think it's one of those, it's like if you're going to invest in somebody's talent, you'd want to use them regularly. And if they know I don't want to live in the region, what are they going to fly me in 10 times a year? That's pretty expensive.
Potentially.
So, but
if
if they would pay me that in talent fees and flights were, 10% of that because they're regional and Southeast Asian Air, okay, so they definitely have the money, dude. I know how many people play that stupid fucking game and they sell a shitload of skins. So it's not a matter of do they have the money. It's can I convince them I'm worth the money. That's the sale. So
Trump has the money to pay his taxes, but here we are.
TVD.
Just because you have the money doesn't mean they're going to be willing to spend
Fair.
it. And that's the thing that you got to be always.
So here's the thing, though,
of.
Seth. Dota is really popular in Southeast Asia. Like, for example, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. That's one of the biggest locations. So it's not like if I moved there, I'd have to leave Dota behind. There's still a market for my my skill set in that time zone in that region. So anyway,
I mean, that's a fair point. I would just say have and that's a backup plan, and that's exactly what I would encourage you to have before you move to Asia to cast Wild Rift.
I'm half joking and half serious. I was listing out life plans today, and I've got 4. Like, I'm going to do one of these in the next 4 years. One of them is move to Kuala Lumpur and become a mobile game caster. That is definitely like 4th on the list of plans. So unlikely, but I've thought about it for more hours than I should have, Seth. I'll be real with you. So it's nice to get your pulse on that. Maybe I should knock it down a few more pegs, perhaps. How is life in Korea, buddy? Are you still loving it as a foreigner over there? Congratulations on getting
wonderful.
married, by the way. I think I DM'd
Thank
that
you.
to you, but
You did.
That's exciting, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, life is great overall here, and I always I always very consistently mess with my coworkers in the Overwatch League because we all have a group chat together, and they will pretty frequently complain, be like, "Man, it'd be nice to like hang out with you guys again and like see each other and whatnot, and just be able to generally go outside and see other human beings." And I'd be like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, I'm at a bar right now, or I'm at this restaurant getting this food and whatnot because this country actually did something like really early on, and we can go and enjoy our freedoms and whatnot. And everybody just wears masks when we go outside, and it's required when you go on the subway, and you only take it off when you sit down at your table in the restaurant. Like the response from Korea, I think, has just been astounding. Obviously, there's several other countries who have done wonderful jobs, like New Zealand, and I think Thailand is one of the ones that currently doesn't have any cases. Maybe it's not Thailand. It's something with a T though. But anyway, there's other countries that have obviously done like maybe I'm thinking of Vietnam, which doesn't start with a T, obviously, but whatever.
It's
early for me.
It, though.
Got my back, thank you. But like the response in Korea was just, I think, really well handled. Obviously, there was like a minor resurgence of it a couple weeks ago where there was like 200 something new cases in the whole country, which, if you compared that to almost like any state in the US, is just absurdly low. But like if you go into a business, you either have to take your temperature and then write down your personal information, or you take your temperature and then you scan a QR code on your phone that you get issued by, you can get it issued by a couple different companies, Naver being one of them, which is the largest search engine in Korea. So they're like Google here. Kakao, which is like the primary means of communication people. You can get a QR code, and then they will have scanners at, coffee shops, at bars, at restaurants, at whatnot. And you just go, you scan your QR code, you go boom, and then it records that you were there at that store at that time on that day. And that way, if they connect anybody to having COVID and then having been to that location, they will contact you and say quarantine for 2 weeks.
I see. It's tracking. Very smart.
So they're very much on top of that. And I mean, there's definitely some people would be like, Big Brother's trying to watch us, they're not giving us our freedom. But I would rather have everyone be tracked and then get rid of COVID than people continue to fucking die almost a year into this. So
yeah,
there's my piece.
Yeah, it is very different. Like when I was visiting like 2 years ago with my ex, who's Korean, right? We were visiting her family, and when I bought a SIM card in the airport, they asked for my passport, and she didn't even think twice about it. And I was just like, "What do they need my passport for? Just give me the fucking SIM card." She was like, "No, you have to," and I did. Afterwards, she was like kind of confused, like, "Why did you make a big deal about that?" Well, that's tracking shit. They're gonna see now, like, that passport and that SIM. Whatever I look at is now attached to it. It's a system. It's a network of tracking, and they're looking, man. They're watching. And she kind of made that face, like, that sort of makes sense. But I also think you're crazy. But, whatever. And it's just that complete difference of like, I'm sure there, that general trust, I guess, the assumption that they're using it for general good and that it has a net gain, whereas I approach it from the negative lens of assuming that it has a net positive and that it's going to be abused for sure. I think that's maybe the part of the cultural gap there that makes it all interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of things, and I think that you and I have discussed this before, like when you were over here. But a lot of things to get used to when you come to Korea, and like one of the things is that people will just like leave their shit. Like if you're at a restaurant or at a bar, like people will just leave their purse hanging on the chair, or they'll leave their wallet sitting on the bar top, and like they'll go to the bathroom,
Mm.
and that's just a common thing to do because the crime rate in Korea is extremely low. It's a very trusting, um, a very trusting culture, and where like stealing is just it's dishonorable, like straight up, and like that can get you in trouble with your family if you were ever caught, and you'd be disowned and all this kind of stuff. Like just people don't do that shit. Like
Yeah.
I now have the reverse um issue where when I go back to the States, I instinctively like will leave my wallet sitting on the bar, and then I'll start walking away, and I'll take like two steps, and I'm like, whoa, no, 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 I'm in Los Angeles. I'll turn around and I'll grab that and I'll put it back in my pocket and then go to the bathroom, just because now
Yeah.
I've been conditioned to just be like, oh yeah, everything's just fucking safe here. So
Yeah.
it's
Man,
great.
that's I was in Vancouver I guess at the beginning of the year.
Mm,
God, time flies by when you're stuck inside. But I was doing a lecture at the University of British Columbia for their esports club, and man, so much good Asian food. I went to two different Korean restaurants, and there's like two Korean restaurants in Denver. That's I'm a real sucker for Asian food, man. I think that's one of the aspects I'm most jealous about is your access to
I thought.
fantastic cuisine.
Hmm. I thought there was a larger Korean population around Denver, so I would have expected there to be more restaurants.
There's two H marts, but there's not much Korean barbecue. There's like four or five,
Mm,
but it's not a wide selection, and it's not terrible, but it's not amazing. It's
gotcha.
you got way more options like in LA, for example, on the West Coast.
Yeah, even then, like I don't know, there's just like certain things that you can't get even in Los Angeles, or like if you can get them, then I was not able to find them while I was there. Because there's like a lot of foods that I would crave that I'm like, oh, you know what, I want to go get that, and I would try searching and searching and searching for a place on Google and whatnot, and I just would come up short. Some just like things like look like uh samgyetang I did fine, but it becomes like extremely expensive because it's just like the markups and all of this kind of stuff, hey jungkook and whatnot, like just all these things that I wanted to eat that I just wasn't able to get my hands on while I was living in Los Angeles, both earlier this year and then as well as the entirety of last year when I had to be in LA for the whole year for the Overwatch League. So being back home now and just being like, oh, you know what? I want to eat that. And just like hitting two buttons and it arriving to my door in 20 minutes is just so nice.
Yeah. So how's your Korean coming along?
Oh, it's still a work in progress. And I think it always will be. Not because there's always something new to learn, but because I'm extremely lazy and haven't been putting that much time into it.
Yeah.
uh,
It's
my wife definitely like there's moments of frustration for her where um she's like, you need to study more, like this is kind of ridiculous that you can't speak to my parents that well, or that you can't speak to my aunt who you just met. Like she's trying to teach me as much as she can. So I'm picking up on more phrases and asking questions as to what does this mean. Like we went hiking
it's way
on
easier than
Saturday.
Mandarin, dude. You always got to remind
Oh yeah.
yourself that.
Oh,
That's like
but the
I
problem is she speaks Mandarin.
oh no.
She speaks Mandarin, Korean, and English, so she thinks that like learning languages is easy as hell because she happens to know
Oh
like
no.
two of the most complicated languages in the world, the other one being English. And it's like, no, like you're just really good at this, and I'm just like a normal person where learning languages after the age of 15 is difficult.
Yeah, you're fucked.
Um,
You're doomed.
but yeah, like I like to ask her questions like when I see like a sign and I don't necessarily understand what it says, like what does that mean? Um, so she knows that I'm still inquisitive about the language and I still do want to learn. I just haven't been. I need to start up my lessons again. Is basically what it is.
I see. Yeah. It's One of my more distinctive memories in Korea was my ex driving, and she hasn't driven that much, right? So driving in Seoul is a little chaotic, and me navigating with the GPS, all of it in Korean. So I'm looking at Korean symbols of like, all right, turn right and like street signs, and I'm just trying to match them with street signs as we're driving by. Like, okay, square, square, hat, hat, right, right, that's a hat, right. Like just. It's all just pattern recognition. I can definitely tell the difference between Japanese, Chinese, and Korean like pretty quickly.
Mhm.
That's a cool feeling. That's a nice little flex in front of other white people that have never left America or never been to Asia. Or you're just like, no, it's pretty easy actually. They look very distinctively different. Japanese is very flowy, and Korean's very
Mm.
boxy. It's very I don't know. It's an interesting language. I started learning it a little bit. I did a little bit of the Rosetta Stone, so I started getting a feel for like the formula. It's very rigid, and that's part of one of the cool things about Korean. I think that makes it a little easier. It has way more strict rules than English, so that's nice.
Yeah. I mean, for anybody who like wants to just learn how to read it, it'll take you maybe an hour tops. Just find like a guide basically, and you just do shape like association, like the character, and then you associate
Yeah.
that with something else. Like the thing for S looks like a seashell. The H looks like a hat, like you mentioned. Like you
Yeah.
just basically correlate those to a shape, and then you repeat that, and it gets it into your brain, and then from there you can slowly start reading things and just like sounding them out and whatnot. Like
Well,
there's a little bit of complexity around like the o ah sounds, but like aside from that, it's pretty simple.
yeah, well, and one of the things that's more complex and also more simplistic at the same time is that they have less sounds. So they'll have one sound that they use for R and L, for example. So that's why there's that like stereotype of like
Sure.
like that accent confusing R's and L's, but it's because they translate stuff with the same character for those two sounds. And it's like, oh, okay, so this is a memorization thing for you. You don't it doesn't translate right. So it's
Yeah.
some things are
I
hard to go one to one.
sometimes like I'll like be sitting there and I'll be staring at something. I'm like, what the fuck does this say? Like I can read Korean, but I don't know what the hell this means.
Yeah.
And because it's like something that's written in Korean, but like you would say, and it would be like phonetically in English.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and sometimes I can't figure it out. And it's because of those little minor differences sometimes that it's like it should be so apparent and obvious to me, but like my mind just skips over it because I'm like, well, that's just not how that sounds. But yeah, there's different there's no th sound. Like so saying my name is basically impossible. Like, don't say Seth. It would say Sesu or Setu.
Right.
Like, that would be the way that they approach that. Like Thresh as a character in League of Legends, there's Tureshi is how they would go about that one.
Okay. Yeah, and they don't with Andrew, they don't have that weird opening A, that really like
Mm.
aggressive American sound.
Endru.
Endelhue is what they
Enduru.
called me. Endelhue.
Endel.
That was what her
Oh,
parents
okay. I
called me.
guess they could throw the H
And
on there.
her dad would be like, Endelhue. That when dinner was ready, that's what he would say. Endelhue. And then he would on the table, and then that's how I would know it was time to come eat. Intense.
Well,
Intense.
there you go. For
What,
those who didn't know, Malphite in League of Legends in Korean
yeah.
translates directly to horse battle.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, some of the Chinese translations for
Completely
Dota
on. Yeah.
are bananas. It's like little dog, and I think our Roshan, like the neutral on the map, translates to meat mountain. That's what they call him, meat mountain. We've had some really good times at event where we have the auto translator on for the Chinese stream, and you read the Twitch chat and see what they're saying about the matches. It's
Meat Mountain.
the translations are really strange. So one of the last things I wanted to ask you about, talk to me about World of Warcraft a little bit. I know you've been a player for a long time. I know you've been playing, I bet, an embarrassing amount of vanilla.
Hmm.
Congratulations on your clear times. That's really impressive. We're all really impressed. Um, are you stoked for Shadowlands? Are you a retail guy still, or are you strictly locked in the vanilla realm?
I haven't played retail in months.
Months. Okay.
Yeah, like I played a little bit when I went or when I was in LA and then in New Jersey. Um, 'Cause there's, a bunch of my coworkers, they formed a guild on like Horde side Zul'jin, which I don't like playing Horde, but I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll play a little bit. I haven't done the raids yet. This seems fun. So I leveled the character up to 120. Played a little bit with them, and then I was just like, I don't care. Like I just want to play classic. It's more fun for me. It's a time in the game that I really enjoyed. I think that BFA has been like an overall pretty bad expansion. So I've just been playing nonstop classic, and at this point, like I still enjoy the game. I still enjoy raiding. I've been like kind of logging out in between the raids a lot more. I'm not logging in day to day to like play a different character or whatnot. So I'm like winding down a little bit with classic as well. But at this point, I'm just kind of in it for Burning Crusade to come out. Hopefully.
Mm. I'm looking forward to that too. I'll definitely come back. I stopped playing. I kind of ditched around AQ.
Mm.
I just kind of got burned out. I was raiding every week though for MC and BWL, and it was some fun nostalgia. We were playing with the Atom App Guild for a while, the like
Oh, okay.
MLG Esports Engine guys. That guild just fell apart. Hot topic.
Oh shit.
Like because my roommate was one of their like leading raiders, and my other roommate just started playing with them, and they disbanded like within the last week. That's right on the
Unlucky, dude.
pulse, buddy.
I
Yeah.
have been running the same guild since like October of last year, so I think we're coming up on 1 year as a
Wow.
guild.
Look at you,
And
Mr. Community Leader.
oh,
Wow.
I mean, like, I'm there to be the dad of the guild.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I've since passed on the raid lead responsibilities to somebody else because I just couldn't be fucked to bother with it. Um, but yeah, like it's a good group. Like we've had a lot of changes and transitions and whatnot, and it's definitely a way different than it used to be. But like, it's still going. We're like second or third on the server right now. So
Oh, that's badass. This person in Twitch chat actually asked a good question. Is it confirmed that Vanilla is going to TBC? I've always
not
assumed that.
it's not confirmed. The only thing, I think the only inclination that we have about um Burning Crusade potentially coming out was when Blizzard polled players, and they said if we were to do a classic Burning Crusade, how would what would you guys want as far as like the server structure? Um, you know, do all the servers that are in classic right now advance to Burning Crusade? Is it an opt-in thing where you like port your character over? Do you just go to a Burning Crusade server and then everybody starts from zero, from level 1 and then levels to 70? They posted a poll. So that lets us know that they're thinking about it at least.
Okay.
Um,
Right.
and then the other thing about it is though that like Classic took a long time to come out from when it was announced. Um,
Yes.
there was a lot more that had to be done as far as rebuilding the game for Classic. Burning Crusade, they still have it. They they saved everything. So they could actually put at least from what I've been what's been explained to me by people who work for Blizzard is that like somebody could just be like, it's live right now. Like that's just how ready the Burning Crusade is as a product. There's a lot
Huh.
less work that needs to be put into it. They're obviously being facetious with that. That's not 100% how it
But
is,
still,
but
yeah.
there's a lot less rebuilding that needs to be done because they mostly have like the entirety of that game preserved and intact to just then put online.
Just roll
But
it back
obviously, like
and yeah.
yeah, things need to be updated for server performances and increasing the caps of the servers and that kind of thing. So, if I had to take a stab in the dark, if Burning Crusade is on its way, those are the things that are probably getting worked on right now. But we'll have to see what happens.
Okay. All right. I feel similar. I'm excited for Burning Crusade. I made the same assumption that it's somehow
That's
gonna come through,
iteration.
even if it is 1 to 70 and start leveling. I'm I'm in. I don't know. I'll play.
I would grit my teeth and do it. You know, it would
Yeah.
suck to lose everything that I've done in Classic, but at the same time,
Are
Burning
you?
Crusade is the best iteration of the game. So
I forget. Did you say you're playing Alliance or Horde?
Alliance.
Okay. I'm Horde right now, and my roommate did the bug grind, so he's got the bug. So I think he's pretty locked into
Scarf
Horde.
Lord.
Yep.
Mm.
So that's fun.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that.
The guild killer. Yeah, I think it almost killed him. It was like 2 weeks of hell. He almost gave up multiple times. It's pretty nuts. So it's a lot of bug
There's so
parts.
many on my server. There's so many. There's like 25 people have that mount. It's just not even special anymore.
Are you on an NA server?
Yeah.
Oh, which one?
Blemu.
I don't know that one. I think he's on Smolder Web and I'm on Incendious.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, I haven't played on either of those.
White main.
Oh God.
White
I actually
main.
do have a Horde character on Whitemane, but not leveled up at all.
Hey, yeah, you might have been in our guild before they transferred to Smolder Web or Smolder main. Smolder Web.
Yeah, I forget it. This was the guild with like Bren and
Yeah,
like Mr.
Bren
X
got to
were
like
all
level
in it.
30 or 40.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I have a character in that guild then.
There you go,
I
dude.
did.
Look at that. Small world. Small world. Yeah, I will not be playing retail either. Not excited about it.
I'm gonna try. Shadowlands, but I'm not gonna be like raiding hardcore in that guild in that game at all.
Yeah.
I don't have the mental capacity for it anymore.
Truly, the last things, handles. Are you gonna ditch Achilios at any point and just become Seth or SK or Seth King or something like that? Has that happened in the Overwatch or League space? Because in Dota, that's actually becoming increasing. Like we've got Trent. He's just Trent. We got Kyle. He used to be Swindle Melons. He's just Kyle now. Dakota. He used to be Coddle Guy. Now he's just Dakota. More people are starting to go by just first name or some play like on their initials.
No, I mean we have Bren obviously, but Bren has always just gone by.
Yeah, that's a good example. Right.
Yeah, I don't at least nobody else has discussed going for that. Personally, I'm tied, you know. I'm tied in for life on Achilleos. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna stick with it.
Yeah, we had Charlie. He used to be Monolith, and Quinn, CC&C. He just became Quinn. That's his first name. We've had a whole bunch. A lot of defectors. Jimmy. I don't know. What do you think? Is Zyori cringe? I feel like it's part of my brand. I feel similar. I'm ride or die. ZyoriTV is the whole thing. You know.
Yeah, I think you just stick with it.
I think I'm too deep.
You're not gonna get at Andrew on fucking Twitter, like.
Yeah, I've got it. That's the thing. I got like a vanilla ass name. If your name's Trent, that's a little more like Dakota. You know, that's his Dakota's Twitter handle is just at Dakota Cox. That's his name. Like that's badass.
Actually,
What's your Twitter handle? Are you Achilleos something still?
I'm still Achilleos Cast, but that's because there's somebody has been squatting on at Achilleos for years, and I haven't been able to get it.
Darn.
And it's very frustrating to me.
Yeah.
And Twitter won't do anything to help. But it's an account from 2009 that has never followed anybody, never received any followers, has never tweeted, liked, retweeted anything.
Why don't they
all.
just prune those old accounts? It's like standard.
I don't
practice.
know.
It's so dumb.
Twitter, give me at Achilleos, all right? Please. For fuck's sake, it's not being used. You verified me. Why didn't you just give me that at the same time?
There's got to be some esports person at Twitter that can do that in just like 2 seconds, and you gotta find them and send them a chocolate souffle or something.
They're like the fucking Twitter employees. I swear, they're like CIA agents. They stay hidden. They're in the shadows.
It's a rough profile, dude.
They don't let their job be known because they know that there's just going to be like a massive amount of people coming to them, and be like, "Hey, can you do this for me in my Twitter account? Like, can you verify me? I've got 500 followers." Like, I get it. I get why you're hiding, but please just help.
But sometimes earnest people just need a quick hand. Yeah, that's that's a value at a networking mixer. A Twitter employee? Where? I'll buy the beers.
I would never. If I was a Twitter employee, I would do exactly what they do. I just wouldn't say anything at all. I would not let it be known.
Cool. So have you been streaming? Any shout outs for follows? How long until the next season of OWL starts? What are you doing to fill the gaps?
So uncertain on the start date right now for the Overwatch League in 2021. But we're still formulating the plans. I say we as if I have any say in this matter, that I work on League Ops. But like League Ops is they're working on formulating the plans to make sure that we can have um as smooth of a season as humanly possible. So I'm not exactly certain when the start date is going to be. Um, just first quarter of 2021, I guess, as it's kind of always been. Um, so we just kind of have to wait and see on that one. For now, I'm just chilling. Gonna relax for a little bit, spend time with my wife. I do want to start streaming again. I haven't streamed in a very, very long time. Like it's been several months, I think. Like since
Mm.
Fall Guys came out. It was, I guess, around then. Was
Cool.
the last thing I streamed. So maybe a month and a half. I don't know. But
Okay. It's been a minute.
yeah, I do want to get back into it now that I have a lot of free time. Just kind of, I want to do that. I want to go to the gym more often. Those are like my two goals right now.
All right.
Rebuild my stream community. So that's basically what I want to be doing until the end of the year.
Very good. Very cool. I have to admit, man, I am a little bit jealous. The OWL has it has some issues, let's say, or some potential issues. Sometimes the optics or the criticism, I guess, from outsiders is probably a lot. But you've got a stability that very few esports folks have, and that's like every year I come above board on contracts, but it's still a stressor where 4 months into the year I have this degree of uncertainty where I don't know if I'm going to be working TI or any more majors or any more minors or what that looks like. You don't even know what the schedule looks
Hmm.
like in Dota. So I don't know, man. I just wanted to say I'm glad you're at least in a good spot, or at least I hope you're in a good spot. It certainly seems like it, and I don't know. Maybe it feels like change at some points. I've talked to Monty a little bit. I know he's been somewhat outspoken, so like it does. It is tough being in a really rigid format like that. And I know the product that you guys do is very polished, and there's a degree of rigidity that has to come along with that polish, I think. But overall, you guys are still working a pretty fucking good gig over there, and I'm fucking happy
Oh
for
yeah.
you, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean for sure. I'm very grateful to be a part of the league, especially in a year like this. That was one of the biggest boons, I guess. Especially after getting married and now having some additional financial responsibilities and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's been it's been a really good year to be working with Blizzard for sure. But yeah, so we'll see what happens in the future. Probably it's going to be more Overwatch League for me. Who knows?
Well, that's cool. If I'm on that side of the world, I'll definitely hit you up again and
Oh, you better.
enjoy your hospitality in Korea. Say hi to Wolf for me. I might poke him for one of these days. Hope he's doing well. Also, seems like it
He
from what
is.
I see on Instagram.
Yeah,
Quite a
he's
bit of
saying that.
food porn.
Yeah, he's keeping busy. He's going out. He's working on a lot of YouTube content and whatnot. So,
Nice, very good. All right, cool, man. Well, I'll let you go. Thanks again. It's always a pleasure, and hope it keeps on going for you. We'll catch you next time.
all right. Well, thanks for having me on. Thanks for watching and listening, everyone.
Yeah. All right, gang. Bye bye.